Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Zenless Zone Zero combat system in depth. In this guide I'll talk about the combat system as a whole, such as agent stats, elements, fighting styles and more. First of all, let's begin with the basics. In this game the teams will consist of 3 characters. As for elements, it's going to be electric, ice, fire, physical and ether. It is very important in this game to combine characters together, which are called agents, to get additional passive skills. So for example, if you're using 2 fire units in the team or 2 units of the same faction in the team, those units will get an additional passive skill, and this is very important in team building. Also, elements, just like in any other gacha games, do matter at what they do and also against the type of enemies. So basically, whenever agents deal attribute damage, they will accumulate anomaly buildup. Once this buildup reaches a certain level, the enemy will suffer an anomaly debuff corresponding to that attribute. If you exploit enemy weaknesses of that certain attribute, you will be able to enhance the anomaly effect as well. If you do combine 2 different attributes, it will override the original anomaly and it will trigger a distortion effect. Distortion will deal additional damage based on the original anomaly damage and accumulates days. Days is basically the stun system in this game. As you can see here on the screen, we have a infograph table where you can see the attributes, attribute anomaly, the triggered effects, and also additional effects. Yes, certain enemies have additional vulnerabilities to certain type of attacks. So for example, as you can see here in the infograph table, machines will be immobilized while shocked, and the shock itself will be triggered effect that comes from electric type of attacks. As you can see, shock deals additional electric damage and also will interrupt enemy action, which is pretty nice. But overall, this is how the elements matter in this game. You do want to be strategic about it and use certain type of attacks against certain type of enemies if you want the additional effects, but also you can trigger these effects even if they're not weak to that for massive amounts of damage. Anomaly mastery is something equivalent of elemental mastery in Genshin Impact or break effect in Honkai Star Rail. Think of it something like that overall. As for fighting styles itself, it's basically character classes or roles. We currently have 5 fighting styles, or better said, just specialties, roles, you name it. The first one, it's attack. It's a high DPS type of unit that's very good at quickly defeating the enemies or being able to do high amounts of damage in a quick, short period of time in nice opportunity windows, for example, whenever you stun the enemies. Stun units will have CC, but more importantly, they will be building up the days meter much faster on enemies to get to break them, so they're basically stunned, and it will create damage opportunities for your DPS attack roll units to do even more damage. We also have defense units that have higher survivability. Tanks can take hits, also usually have counter attacks or blocks and that type of stuff. We also have supports, which will buff the entire team to enhance your team further, and anomaly, which is basically a debuffer. It will accumulate more anomaly buildup to weaken enemies and deal more damage. Before we go into the combat system mechanics and UI, I'd also like to mention and talk about combat stats of the characters. I'll show them on the screen. You have HP, attack, defense, crit rate, crit damage, which is very obvious what they do. As for impact, this stat will increase the ability of how quickly you're getting to stun the enemies. And here is the second part of the combat stats overview. Anomaly mastery, which will increase the build-up when using attribute attacks of the element that we talked about earlier. And anomaly proficiency, which increases damage done by attribute anomalies. We also have penetration ratio, which will ignore a percentage of target defense if you do happen to have this stat. And lastly, we have energy regeneration stat, which will help you at getting your energy up faster. But do know that energy is not being used in the same way as in Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact. It is not your ultimate. We'll get to that later down in the video. But now let's go over the combat system mechanics and UI itself to some extent. As you can see on the screen with the combat UI elements, that's our team of 3 characters. That's the HP bar. There's also like a little blue bar you see in there next to the green bar. That's basically the shield, and that's the energy. The energy itself is a part of character skills. So agents will be able to generate energy over time whenever they're on the field, and also it will be more depending on their energy regen stat. Basic attacks, dodge counters, and dash attacks also generate energy. Also, enemies can drop energy matter that you can pick up to increase the energy for your entire squad. And there are also like supply chests, usually in the stages, that you can destroy and get some energy from that. But that's not something you want to have in endgame content necessarily. And of course, each agent has their own energy bar, and you do want to cycle between them to use this energy. You don't want the energy to be sitting at 100%. You want to keep using it as much as you can. And the day system, as you can see below, whenever enemies are hit, they will accumulate days, and when days will reach 100%, enemies will become stunned, and then the meter is going to go quickly from 100 to 0 for them to recover, and they will be, of course, unable to move and will be easy targets to do high bursts of damage. And also, whenever you daze enemies, you also have the ability to do powerful chain attacks, chain combo attacks with your team, and do even more damage. I'll go in detail more about chain attacks as we go into combat actions. As you can see on the screen, this is the first part of the things that your agents can do. Basic attack, this is something you're going to primarily use on your characters, of course. As how many attacks they do, it depends from character to character. Each character also has a special attack, which is basically equivalent of the skill. The special attack doesn't really have a cooldown, but if you do not have enough energy, you cannot use the enhanced version of this attack, which is going to do less damage. So it's very important that you daily want to use these special attacks when you have the energy, so you can do more damage. But of course, you will still use even normal specials, because there might be a part of the character combo, and you'll do it nevertheless. And now finally, to the chain attack, will only work if you have 2 or more agents in the team. If you have 2 agents that are downed and you only have 1 character in the team, you will lose the ability to do chain attacks. Chain attack will be triggered whenever you stun an enemy. You'll be able to do it right away. The chain attack itself, it's very straightforward to use. You'll be able to decide between one or the other character who's going to perform the chain attack follow-up. Chain attacks do a lot of damage, and this is something that's bread and butter type of thing in this game. It's extremely important to use chain attacks as much as possible as you can, because it's very high damage. And now we're finally at ultimate. Ultimates in this game, like I said earlier, are very different compared to Genshin or Star Rail. In this game, you have to build decibel rating through attacks such as hitting enemies, chain attacks, dodge counters, and so on to get the decibel rating up. And once you reach all the way up, you can use the ultimate. Do note that you can only use 1 ult at a time, because your entire team will share this resource. So you have to choose which character is going to use the ultimate. It's not like in Genshin or Star Rail, we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and use all ults. Here it's you have to strategically choose which one is going to be using the ultimate. Nevertheless, the ultimates are very powerful, so that's that. Now let's go over to the second part of combat actions. You're probably already familiar with dodge if you play Wuthering Waves or Honkai Impact 3. It is not exactly like Genshin dodge, it's more close to Honkai Impact or Wuthering Waves, because you also do have a perfect dodge. And if you do trigger a perfect dodge, which happens whenever you're about to be hit by an enemy and you just perform the perfect dodge, that is, you can also quickly use a basic attack after the perfect dodge to launch a dodge counter with a heavy attack, which is pretty cool. It's nice to have perfect dodge. It's very reactive gameplay, I would say. As for switching agents, in this game, it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4 like you would have in Genshin on your keyboard. You will basically use one or the other button that you assign to it to rotate your character backwards or forward. This game also has assist attack, which will happen whenever your agent gets knocked down. So whenever you get like pushed back by an enemy or CC'd or thrown down or something like that, you'll have the opportunity to switch in for an assist attack. The reactive assist will perform a heavy attack from the new agent. You do also have perfect assist. I would say this is more of a parry type of thing. Basically, whenever enemies will attack, they will have like a flash gold type of animation, sound effect, and if you time it right, you'll be able to perform a defensive or evasive assist. There is a limited amount of how many perfect assists you can use in a row, and you do have to to trigger chain attacks to regenerate assist points or the ultimate. So it's not a resource that you can just blindly keep spamming. You have to strategically decide where are you going to use this perfect assist and when not, or where can you charge it up again. This is something that I join a lot because it's not just randomly parry all day, but it's like it's a resource that you have to manage, and I think it's pretty cool. And at last, let's go over the Bangbu system as well. This is basically a pet system. Think of it as a fourth member in your team. If you played Honkai Impact 3, it is similar to elves from there. This type of pets called Bangbus would basically support your active character with active skills, buffs, and so on. They come in two rarities, 5-star and 4-star, basically S rank or A rank, just like with character units. But in Lost Beta 3, they changed it that you cannot purchase them with real money or gems from their gacha banner. Yes, the Bangbus are on a gacha banner, but the currency to get them, to be able to pull them, is only obtainable from missions, weekly content, endgame content, and so on. So it's something you'll get it on the side anyway. You don't have to stress too much about it. The Bangbus itself will have an active skill, additional abilities, and also chain attack. Yes, they will be part of your chain attacks with the rest of your team when you perform them. The Bangbus itself can also be leveled up, just like characters. It will increase their HP, attack, and defense. You also will have to send them to increase their level cap further, and then also it's going to increase their skill multipliers. So with this pet system, there's definitely something you have to keep an eye on, because they have, many of these pets have really good effects. Some of them are also more specific for certain type of characters. It definitely elevates your team further, and it's a very important part to invest in as well. Fortunately and unfortunately, the pets are gacha, but at least the gacha is from an extra side currency that you get on the side by playing the game, and not purchasable with real money. Overall, with the pet system, some people like it, some people dislike it. Personally, I think it's fine because you do get them on the side for free. You cannot use gems or real money to get them. So all those gems that you're saving for the characters, you won't be in a situation where it's like, oh, I also have to save extra for the pets. You're just going to be passively getting those pets on the side anyway. I would say that this game is very nice if you come from a background who just wants to play something like Devil May Cry or a fighting type of game. It is very grounded, but also very smooth and responsive combat. I do like the approach to skill and ultimates being different compared to Genshin. I do enjoy the perfect parry, or should I call it perfect assist system here in this game as well. A finite resource that you have to manage and also charge it back up through chain attacks and ultimates. Overall, the feel of the game, it's very nice. Like, you definitely feel the impact of your character hits and also of the parries, dodges, and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I do also like the team building aspect, that you do have characters where you have two of the same element or two of the same faction to get additional effects. This definitely provides a lot more strategy for team building. There is one concern though with this system, I would say, because it is a gacha game. They could do it in the future that you would need two specific characters together to make them work with their additional passive ability or something like that. We shall see. But overall, this game is very nice, especially for those people who are burned out of open world but still want to play a fighting type of game with a good combat system. I would say this is pretty much for you. So yeah, I guess this is it for this video. I hope it gave you some idea about the combat system and how to go about it. If you have any more questions about this game, feel free to ask me down in the comments, or even better, feel free to ask me on my streams. I do stream every single day on Twitch/YouTube. And of course, the YouTube thingy. If you enjoyed this type of video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I wish you a wonderful day and see you in the next video.